All right, this is Coach Rob with Coach.Win, and maybe one of the hottest topics right now is AI. And I'm here with Coach John to talk a little bit about AI.
Excited to talk about it, and good to be involved in the AI thing with the whole coaching community. It's been fantastic.
Well, so I know you've been working with a lot of clients on activating AI. What's the biggest misconception that leaders have about activating AI?
The first thing I always run into with everyone is they think it's like this magic pill. They think it's just going to be like, I can just turn this on and it's just going to work, and everyone's going to be good with it. And that's just not the case. It's a learned skill. AI is a learned skill, and they have to have a plan on how to implement AI. It's not simply just turning on a light switch. You really have to have a plan of attack and how you go about it to get it to be activated inside your company, or else you'll just get pushback. So that's one of the biggest issues I've seen when it comes to getting AI embedded into a company.
And I've seen a lot of organizations that are hesitant to jump in just because they get some pushback from the IT team. How do you address that?
Yeah, we obviously want to make sure governance and security is correct. We work with internal best practices and some external people to make sure that the IT team's good. But this is not an IT decision. This is a business decision. This has to be part of your business. Just like if you are going to, go after this new client or this new vertical, or you're going to introduce this new process, IT is there to support, not decide. And we have to make sure this is way too important of transition in the whole business world to let IT be the key of it. IT is very important. There got to be security. They got to make sure governance is set up properly, but you got to move forward because this is a game-changing event happening.
Wow, that's interesting. And that kind of ties to my next question, which is, how do you make sure that activating AI aligns with the company's vision, mission, core values? I mean, instead of it just being another tech tool.
Well, the wonderful thing about AI, and it's also, I have an advantage. Most of my clients, I'm also their strategy coach. So I've helped put together their strategy. I've helped to put together their stuff, or the ones I've worked with your clients. I can see their strategy. I understand what they're trying to get, their core values, their mission and vision. AI is multiple step. People often go to the far, we could automate all this stuff. Well, there's actually a lot of things you can do to align it with your simplicity of your current processes, just very simple, or your current mission statement and vision statement of like, let's learn what those are. Let's use AI to dive deeper and then train our whole staff on them. So there's like just some really interesting uses of AI that are simple, that to make sure it aligns. But having a strategy coach tied to the AI activation, I think, is a very important step. So you're not misaligning anywhere along the way. So whether, again, it's me doing both for a client, or working with your client, but I get access to your, with client permission, obviously, access to all of your information. You can share their goals and mission, and we start with the leadership team before we even start with AI. So that's very important.
Yeah, I know we want to talk on a separate podcast. For me, an important aspect of this is just being embedded with the team. That's the way I like to think of myself, as just a coach who's part of the leadership team. So I can help them with that access right there in their technology. So let's say that somebody's listening to this and they go, man, I really need to activate AI in my organization. Like, what's the first 3 steps?
The first step is to get the leadership team aligned, and in the sense of what the outcomes they're looking for, make sure they understand that. Usually I do that in a full day meeting to really make sure they understand. And what part of that, as I call it, I kind of give an overview of AI so everyone's on the same page. Then I do brain tending, I call it, which is I think a great thing. I share a whole bunch of ideas on how AI might be able to help, because most businesses are very similar, right? There's sales and marketing, there's operations, there's finance, admin, and IT. Well, there's common things that for sure AI can just be the easy steps, and that gets them excited and going. But the next step that is just super critical is we do some department meetings and surveys, and our goal is to identify an AI committee. And this has nothing to do with tenure, role, leadership, anything. We all have to find the people that are curious and optimistic, and they're going to have some grit to fight through when AI is not perfect up first, because it's a large language model, not a large fact model. And we got to find that committee. So like leadership team first, then do the department meetings, get people kind of excited about it, then find the AI committee members. And often I had a great success story. There was a field team member at a lawn care company, and this person just started going, oh, I do this and this and this already. And I'm like, perfect, you're on the team, right? Like you're on the committee. You're engaged already. We need to find those people. It could be somebody you hired last month, can be on that committee, because once you get that going, now we can start working on the low-hanging fruit and start going through that way.
That's great, because I've noticed that sometimes people have a hard time even just imagining what they can do with AI. Do you run across that?
Yeah, it's all the time. They just they don't understand the possibility. It's very different than most other tech. So that's where that brain tending exercise I share. I just finished up with a client. They have 8 departments. I spent 90 minutes with each department. I did the brain tending exercise where for the first 10 or 15 minutes, I go through 60 slides of potential opportunities, which is just getting their brain warmed up. Then I run 5-minute exercises to have them post-it noted out and start getting some ideas, which creates the next level of collaboration. And then we can start to prioritize by each department and then see common themes across departments. That's what makes it all the brains trigger. And it is very much people have to see it to believe it, and they have to understand it before they get going. Or else they don't understand that it's possible. So yeah, that whole brain tending exercise works really, really well.
I'm sure that's one of the ways, but how else do you ensure that employees don't fear AI, instead just embrace it? What are some other things that you do?
A couple of key things I do there is, first of all, I share in that example. I also share that it's pretty common that we find 10 things to elevate the team for every one that's going to be automated, and I can I can prove that to them. So like they're like, but that's what I do. That's when everyone gets nervous. I'm the one that enters the data from this system to this system. I'm the one that enters the invoices. I'm the one that updates our blank, which can all be just automated. Well, but once you start talking to them, they're like, and they've got that excitement going, they'll be like, wait a minute, you're saying that if I could get that 4 hours off my plate, that I could do these other 4 more elevated things? And they start to see it. There's going to be some that are fearful still. Again, my goal with that committee is to get those, depending on the size of the organization, 6 to 14 people on a committee, to get them showing quick wins and fun and bringing joy. Joy is a word I use a lot, because if you can get joy going with AI and you can see some quick wins of removing some of the menial or tedious tasks or error-prone tasks, you can get those fixed. People start to lean into it. Again, it's a normal adoption thing, right? We want to get some of those early adopters, those leaders and innovators going, and then it'll scale to the next group of people, and then eventually to the rest of the organization. So, so far, yes, people come across as fearful, but then once they're going to go through our exercises with them, they see some of the quick wins, and they identify, hey, now I'm starting to think there's 3 to 5 other things I could elevate my game on. The fear tends to go away.
That's incredible. Because I still see that. I think people just, when they don't understand something, and we all know most humans don't like change, and so it's just this natural concern. But once they see the potential, it's pretty amazing. And I've seen with one of my clients, he said, hey, wouldn't you like just to get an extra hour of your day back? And I thought, what an interesting way to say it, right?
Yes.
You're going to get an extra hour of your day back. And I think we all could use an extra hour in our day.
Absolutely.
So give me some, what's an example you can give? Like, give me a real world, example of how you've activated AI successfully, and what can we learn from that?
There's a lot of good examples, but I'll give you 3 ones. One on training people. So one of the challenges often people have is training. with AI, or training and onboarding people and getting them up to speed, or keeping them compliant with things. So AI, you have the ability to have fun with. Let's just say I have a client that's a compliance client. They need to pay attention to the rules of engagement, and sometimes people forget them. So they creating a weekly quiz that goes out to the team that has to deal with compliance of 6 to 10 questions that goes out at noon, automated every week, and it's a little game. And then if you get them all right, it gets you into a drawing for a $10 gift card that comes out at the end of the day. And if you get them wrong, it says, "Hey, Rob, you got that one wrong. Remember, this is the actual compliance thing." It's a fun way to do training. Now, in the real world, if you would ask an HR person or a trainer to come up with a unique quiz every single Friday, and then also tell people what they got wrong, and then send a gift card, they just look at you and say no.
Yeah.
Right.
You're adding work to them. Yeah.
Yes. Right. So that now you can do that fun. Number two, where are those buffer points in the business? So lots of people have field teams. So whether it's lawn and landscape, arborists, plumbers, electricians, whatever. With AI, we're, as consumers of those services, we're not experts. That's why we bring them in. So I have an arborist, I have a landscaper, and potentially, hopefully, working with an electrician pretty soon. Customer calls in and says, "Hey, my tree doesn't look good." So what do they have to do? They have to send an arborist, their most expensive person, out to see it. And sometimes it's just like, "Well, water it," or "It's already dead." And that's not,
Yeah. Right.
Arborists want to help trees be better, right? Well, now with a very simple automation of taking the customer, "Hey, do you mind if you just go take a quick photo? We'll just send a link to you, so that way we bring the right stuff out to make sure your tree's healthy." They can take the photo, it goes back, it does a diagnosis, creates an email, creates even a cost of potential fix of that. Well, that allows them to avoid missed trips that they don't need to go on in the first place. Like, "Hey, we don't even have to waste your time or your money there, Rob. If you were the client calling in, that actually just looks like you need to water it. Like, you're good to go. Hope next time you need something with your trees, give us a call," right? It avoids that trip. But they also then, if they "Hey, that's Japanese beetle, I need to bring this spray." Right.
Right.
It solves that
Wow.
that problem. And then the big other one, just internally for everyone, that is just turn on, and what we try to get people to do is, Copilot's really good at it. ChatGPT is really good at it. For any type of content development, from just, hey, Copilot now has draft with Copilot. So that's like, if once people get to understand that, like, I don't want to have to write this email, I'm not sure what to say, just start speaking into Copilot and say, "I'm struggling writing an email to blank, blank, blank," and it'll write that first draft for you. That's such a huge win. You can have it coached by Copilot, just improve my email. That's a huge win. And that's all my clients. That's one of the things we work on. And then same with all the meeting notes, right to planner, right to to-dos. Those are all just easy wins. But improving communication, as we know as coaches inside a company, is gigantic.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, in over 10 years of doing this, I have never had a client in any single meeting not say that communication couldn't be improved. And I personally use AI, like you said, not just to improve the email, but tell me what I'm doing wrong and help teach me. And over time, I learn from it, and it's really powerful. Well, this has been awesome. Anything else you want to share with us that how can they reach you? What do they need to know about activating AI with John?
Yeah, I mean, you can reach out to me at John@Coach.Win. Also, I'm on LinkedIn under Coach.Win. Take a look at some of our. I have a couple of videos on Entresmart.com website too, just about kind of this concept of spiraling upward. My big thing is just get started. Get started with AI. It takes 3 to 6 months for a team to start activating on it. Get started. It's going to be a competitive either advantage if you have some people doing that as you're just slowly improving. I mean, it's funny. Sometimes I say, "Hey, it just makes you 10% faster right away, or 15 or 25% faster." And some people are like, "That's not a big deal." But if I said to them, "I have a magic wand that'll improve your processes by 20%, people are like, "Oh, how do you do that?" Right? Well, this is that, but it's not a magic wand. It takes time. Right? You gotta. So get started on AI. Get some people that are excited, and don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be a leader in your team.
That's awesome. Thank you for your time, John.
No, thank you.